So today I want to discuss CAC, or customer acquisition cost, which is attribution-driven customer acquisition cost accuracy. So I want to detail how attribution models impact CAC calculations and how RevOps teams build attribution discipline for accurate reporting and ROI tracking. So customer acquisitions cost, CAC, is the budgetary investment required on average to win new customers. So calculated as the sum of all marketing and sales expenses over a period divided by the number of new customers acquired, CAC underpins unit economic analysis, payback period calculations, and channel ROI assessments. So CAC's precision really depends critically on how credit for customer conversations is apportioned across marketing and sales touchpoints. So, for example, the attribution models. So, what are the attribution models and their implications? So, first, we have single touch models. Now, single touch models like first touch and last touch, these assign conversion credit entirely to one interaction. So while simple to implement, these models really obscure multi-stage influence, which constitute a large portion of a RevOps lifecycle. And so a last touch crediting ignores top of funnel brand awareness campaigns, and first touch models overlook bottom of funnel closing activities. Next is we have multi-touch rule-based models. Now, these are models like linear and time decay and position-based to distribute credit across intersections. So what do these terms mean? So a linear multi-touch rule-based attribution model splits the attribution evenly across all touch points in the RevOps customer lifecycle. A time decay emphasizes recent touches. A position-based multi-touch rule-based model often gives 40% credit to first and last touches and divides the remaining 20% among middle interactions. So these are just, for example, different models that you might apply, versions rather, of the multi-touch rule-based models to the RevOps lifecycle in order to generate an attribution report. These provide nuance. These multi-touch rule-based models provide a lot of nuance, but they rely on arbitrary weightings that may misrepresent real influence patterns. So for example, 40% to first touch, 40% to last touch, who says? Maybe it was 100% to last touch, right? In reality. So we've got single touch models, we've got multi-touch rule-based models, and then we've got data-driven attribution. Now, data-driven attribution uses statistical or machine learning algorithms to infer each touch point's marginal impact based on historic conversion data, delivering the most accurate credit splits. But this requires really robust data pipelines, a lot of data accuracy, sufficient conversion volume, and analytic capabilities, which means you actually have data engineers that are able to perform these analyses. So, how do you embed attribution discipline into RevOps? So there's a few ways, there's a few practices that your RevOps team can implement in order to make sure that you are capturing all of this data and performing analyses correctly. The first one is journey mapping. Now, journey mapping, this identifies every potential touch point, like online ads, email nurtures, webinars, demos, sales calls, and aligns them against CRM campaign tags. So you're actually coordinating and tagging and labeling all these touch points as they occur. So that's journey mapping. The second one is uniform tracking. So uniform tracking, this is where you enforce standardized UTM parameters and ensure marketing to CRM campaign syncing, and you require discrete lead source fields on contact records to prevent untracked gaps. The next practice that you can embed in order to make sure you're capturing the correct data to apply these attribution models in a way that's most likely to be accurate is you have model selection and testing. Now, model selection and testing is where you pilot different attribution frameworks and you compare CAC results and you validate against control groups or offline transactions. So for example, phone conversations to isolate systemic biases, right? So you might have, you might begin with a linear model and then you might compare that to performing, a multi-touch rule-based model. And you can see which one of these more likely aligns with what the actual data says. The next practice that you can integrate is just actual human visibility into these insights, which is dashboard integration. So whether that's a dashboard in your CRM or a dashboard tool like Tableau or Looker or Snowflake or something like this, or Datalore, where you create CAC dashboards segmented by channel, segmented by cohort, segmented by region, and you overlay CAC with customer lifetime value with LTV. So you overlay CAC with LTV to monitor payback period and ROI thresholds. And then finally, you just have the best practice of continuous refinement. So continuous refinement is where you revisit attribution weights quarterly. So you adapt to shifts in sales cycle length or new channel introductions, and you correlate attribution accuracy with downstream metrics like renewal rates or upsell performance. So how do you achieve CAC accuracy that really enables strategic agility? So with an attribution anchored CAC, where you're using your models, you know which models you're using, you know that you have best practices in data hygiene, that you're testing your models, you're updating your CAC quarterly, you're testing your CAC models and your estimates against the data that's actually coming in from your sales team. Once you know all of that and you're doing all of that, then RevOps can pinpoint high efficiency channels and optimize budget reallocations and forecast marketing ROI with confidence. So if you're spending a lot of money on events, but at the end of the day, 99% of your leads that you're closing are actually coming from inbound marketing, like you could remove that ad spend and reallocate it, or maybe experiment with, an actual digital advertising campaign or something like that, right? And you can forecast that marketing ROI. And more than that, by linking CAC to LTV and payback horizon, teams ensure sustainable growth. So scaling channels with sub 12-month payback and deprioritizing those that erode margins, right? Ultimately, robust attribution drives CAC transparency, and it undergirds investment decisions, and it cements trust between revenue functions and the C-suite.